All right, what's up, everybody? I'm doing a Ball Mania 7 live draft. Room is about to fill. We've got one more person that we're waiting for. If you're watching, why not join? I'm excited. This would be my 23rd draft, I think. I haven't had second pick a lot, so I'm going to get, Bijan Robinson for the second time, it looks like. But yeah, you guys can see my tool working. I've got all sorts of fun things that happens with this tool, but basically I fitted an algorithm that I've built to help me with my rankings and apply it to the strategies that lead to success in tournaments like Ball Mania, the Puppy. It's diversified for each different tournament style. So, but yeah, early rounds, ADP value. That's the name of the game. We can look at my stack history. Right now, some of the biggest stacks that I have are Kyler and Sam Darnold, which I think I talked about on yesterday's stream. Trevor Lawrence with Brenton Strange as my top partner. Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Brock Purdy with Ricky Pearsall a couple times. So, there's things going on. The cool thing with this too is it syncs all my drafts. So I click the sync button, it adds the drafts that it hasn't fully synced before. And then there we go. Like it's understanding my portfolio, who I've taken, what the mix of players are that I've taken, where portfolio diversity matters. Draft plan mode actually simulates the rest of the draft to understand like the likelihood of getting your stacks, players that fit your build and align to your team, stuff like that. So yeah, it's not like the sim tool that the other one that's out there, the Sidekick. It's different because they're actually simulating the outcomes. I'm using ranks to simulate the draft itself. So like what every player is going to take based off of what they need and the probability of players being available to me at all of my separate picks. It's a lot different in how it works, which I think is kind of unique and fun. Yeah, this draft is, let's see, it's pretty much chalk so far. We've gotten Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, Puka, JSN, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And that's pretty much like just going straight in ADP line. And that's what I'm going to end up probably doing too. It gets thin. There's this like running back like zone that happens, which is interesting to me, but and that there's like this just like a wall of players that go together, and then you kind of get to a point where it's like, oh, now it's like very sparse to get any of those types of players. But the tool is also understanding like my bye week situation and making sure that I don't like take players that overlap in terms of buys. Trying to help me with stacks, but only whenever there's enough value there on the stack. It's not going to forego value for the stack every time. There's times where it'll tell me to take a guy even unstacked, which I think is similar to other tools that have been available out there, but that's just kind of how tools work. They're guidelines, they're goalposts. They aren't that end all be all. Even though, you could probably just click the top and do decently well. What I've done is actually simulate like the full tournament. So I built like synthetic draft profiles of all the users because we've got user history, and understanding like, oh, there's people that build like this, there's people that build like that. And then based off of that, being able to simulate like what a draft room would look like and applying some of the points distribution that we've seen in the past, based off of like ADP and stuff. It's just really interesting. I think that this tool is extremely powerful. But again, you got to use logic in your own brain to be able to do all of this stuff. All right, it's going to tell me to take George Pickens. Let's see if I've taken Pickens with Bijan in the past. I have not, so this will be a unique combination for me, which is great. That's what I was looking to do. I'm not a huge Pickens guy myself for this year. I know other people might have different opinions on all that. Oh, sorry, I think there was some tool freaked out because the guy that I had in queue was taken, and now it wants me to take Rashid Rice, which I'm down to do. Cool. So I took Rashid Rice and George Pickens with Bijan. That's a fun start for me. I think in the next round I'll probably be in a spot where let's see if I've even taken Pickens with Rashid Rice. No, so this is like completely new. So I think in the next spot I'll be in a situation where where I'll probably be looking to target running backs and such, which is interesting because then you get into your David Montgomery bell cow that I've talked about on my news and notes updates that we have. Refreshing my screen here as my tool is kind of lagging a little bit. There's still bugs, and I'm just using it and showcasing what it can do, but there's still like some user type of bugs because I'm not a front end coder. I'm more of like a back end guy, databases, data science type of stuff. So vibe code the front, see what happens. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to be in that like Cam Scatabo, David Montgomery kind of situation range, and that's what I'm hoping lasts to me. The other thing that this tool is doing while I'm drafting is understanding the potential for stacks in the future, the potential for bringbacks in the future with weights for the week 17 versus week 16 versus week 15. On top of that, what's also happening is it's kind of doing some budget allocation for me. So if you think about it, each pick is worth like a certain amount of dollars. And it's trying to understand like, okay, am I on budget based off of what usually ends up working in these tournaments? So basically it's saying like, don't forego a certain position, don't forego like, and there's ways to win no matter what, but it's like, what is steering you to the best possible outcome? And one of the things that I've learned is that the elite tight end situations has never really worked out, but at the same time, that doesn't mean it won't work out. So we can't just take everything that we've learned from history. We should simulate like situations where it does work out, and how do you build a good team with that situation? So I've got Bijan, Pickens, Rashid Rice. You can see that my probability of landing Dak is in round 6 is really high, and that my probability of landing Mahomes is round 8 is pretty low at 17%. Then there's some bring back options for these players for week 17 where I've got Dart and Justin Herbert is somebody that could be a target, things like that. So very interesting how it all works out. I think I'll probably end up taking David Montgomery if all works out in some of these situations, but I'm waiting to see, what ends up falling to me. I will take the receiver first because the person behind me has 2 running backs. So I think that they might want a receiver. And I'm going to guess that this person ends up taking David Montgomery. Oh, they took Travion. Great. Jalen Waddle, I've talked him up a lot. I'm super excited to take him when I can. So great pick for me right there. And then David Montgomery to Q, which he has a week 8 bye, which doesn't really matter for me. And then I'm going to also add Swift to Q. Okay, Swift it is. Okay, great. I'll take DeAndre Swift. I haven't really taken him much anyway. Okay, so now we've got this kind of interesting situation where I can take Bo Nix in round 9. I can take Mahomes potentially in round 8, and I've got Prescott in round 6 that I could do. What do those pick align to? So round 6 would be 71 for Dak. That's pretty early. And then round 7 would be 74, which would still be early. So I might have to push him and see if he makes it back to me in round 8. And then Mahomes in round 8 could potentially be there. So we'll see if that ends up working out. With Bo Nix lasting to round 9, I think I would probably jump the shark and just take him there because I don't know that he would make it back to me in round 10 at 119. But I like the way this team is coming together. One of my preferred starts is like having these at least 2 running backs through the first 5 rounds and seeing how all of that works out. I think it's really hard to get 2 behind the 8 ball at running back this year specifically, but there's definitely ways that you can make that up. There's a few players that I think could break fantasy that are going in the like late 80s, 90s type of range right now. Someone said, "What's good? Super interested in this build you created for Best Ball. Decided this year I'm going to give it a try." Yeah, it's fun. I love it. I'd say I spend most of my time focusing on this in my FFPC main event drafts. And last year with my brother, we co-do 2 teams for the FFPC main event. Usually every year. We might do 3 this year. And I'm actually open to maybe doing more teams if any like listeners want to do one with me. But yeah, we do those, and we did really well last year. Am I clearly taking Swift over Judkins, or are you just thinking close enough where you're splitting exposure around 2 in the same manner? Yeah, I think I'm just splitting. And I'm just going to kind of let ADP determine, like my draft spot kind of determine that, which, isn't always the best strategy. And I think there's some portfolio diversification I should do too. So like, if I had that exact same situation happen again with Bijan on my team, then some of these picks would end up being the same. I think I would probably switch it up and maybe take a Judkins so that I give myself a different potential outcome for my team. And this is a situation that I think Jordan Tyson is a really good pick for me if he's still there. It is kind of pushing Drake May to me, but I'm okay not taking Drake May. I will take Jordan Tyson instead, which I think is the right call. And then I'll be looking at running back next. So I'm going to have my bring back from Bijan with Jordan Tyson, which will be fun. It allows me to get a Shuck team going too. And then there's Chuba and Ramondre and Jalen Warren. And it's telling me to take Dak here, which, you know what, I will just do. No, I think I'm gonna punt on that, and I'm gonna audible to Jalen Warren potentially. Yeah, audible to Jalen Warren. Also a good pick. He had the green dot thing going for him there, which means he was a good pick. Jordan Tyson fell pretty far to me, so having access to that game stack will be fun if I can land Tyler Shuck, which it looks like based off of my probability model, it looks like there's a 67% chance in round 2 that he'll be there for me. So now it's looking like I'll probably end up in a situation where I'm going to start adding these guys to queue, but probably end up in a situation where I'm looking at Dak and I'm looking at Holmes. If these guys make it back to me, you never know what ends up happening. And then I'm looking at Bo Nix as well for my next couple picks. And so we'll see how that ends up playing out. Yeah, that fall for Tyson was really nice. I got kind of lucky there. And it's nice to, like, that's the other reason why I like building kind of like very bland-ish type of teams where I'm not like leaning into one strategy too heavily so that I can take the ADP value that ends up falling to me. Because that's one of the later values that you're going to get for Tyson, especially if he's back healthy for training camp. I don't see him falling too much, but if he is unhealthy or something happens, yeah, people are going to get a better price on him. My thoughts on Jaylen Brown trade? Good question. Yeah, I thought that was I think the idea of Paul George has always been better than actually having Paul George on your team. So it's never really worked out post the Pacers situation, it's never really worked out. And I think that could be like personality based stuff. I think it could be a number of things. So, you know, I'm not as into trading for Paul George, even though the analytics kind of like him. Um, I think it's a weird reset for the Celtics to do that. And you got to maybe you end up with like Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, stepping up and being able to take on more and do all of that kind of stuff. But I still think that they're like bereft of talent. So I'm worried for them. I am worried for them. Okay, so we're coming up on my pick. It's looking like Patrick Mahomes might fall to me. We'll see what ends up happening. I don't know if anybody has taken. Has someone taken Worthy? Yeah, so someone took Worthy over here, which gives me a shot at getting Mahomes. All of the teams in front of me have quarterbacks. This guy has two. So if Mahomes makes it past these two, I think it would be very likely that he would last to me. And I really like Mahomes this year. So please, thank you very much for that. All right. It looks like Mahomes may actually end up lasting, which is awesome. Amazing. We got the Mahomes stack. What's the bring back for that game? It looks like it is the Chargers. I love that game so much, actually. And who should I take from the Chargers to make this all work eventually for myself? Tool wants me to take Sam Laporta, which I'm okay with doing. I think in this build, I have Swift, so Swift Laporta being a nice little 1-2 punch there. I'll leave Bo Nix in my queue, and then I think I can end up with Tyler Shuck later, which the tool knows, which is why it didn't push quarterback to me in that pick, which is awesome. I am not worried about Patrick Mahomes being ready for week one. Every single report, and you guys can see that I've been like very hot on Twitter with all the reports, is that he's going to be fine. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so these quarterbacks are starting to go. That's part of the algorithm too. That's like built into this is like capturing momentum. Because one thing that I studied and learned whenever I was playing through the simulations of previous drafts was that a lot of times what ends up happening is that there are runs, and it basically is based off of tiers. So right now there's Michael Wilson, who looks like he's in his own tier based off of ADP, even though I wouldn't necessarily tier him that way. He's in his own tier based off of ADP. So what ends up happening for a guy like him is that if let's say he was in the same tier as Jacoby Myers, if these three guys went at the same time, and then there was only one player left in that like cluster of players, the tool would boost that player up and say like, you need to take this guy because there's a significant drop off behind him at this position, which I think is cool. All right. I think this is going to be time for me to do, I think, Kels and Shuck would be a nice pairing. We've got Bo Nix as a potential option if he continues to fall to me. I don't know who took Cortland Sutton, so let's watch that. This guy did, so he's probably going to take Nix now. Yeah. Okay. That happens. Who has Chris Olave? He just passed on Shuck. That guy took Kyler Murray instead. He had Justin Jefferson. So it's more likely that Shuck will fall to me. I also have the Jared Goff option now, which is awesome. So I'm going to put him in queue. I also have a game stack there because I have him with Laporta. And these are the things that I can't even keep track of, like how all of this is working. But it's really nice that the tool is doing that for me, where it's like, hey, dude, we took Laporta, which gives you an option at Jared Goff later, potentially, like at your pick. So you should consider that as something that you might want to take. And I could end up taking Travis Kelce, but I'm kind of not feeling it. I kind of want Kenny Gainwell if he's available for me. This guy's probably going to take him, though. I'm going to move Gainwell to the top and Goff to the second, and then Chuck, and then Travis Kelce. But this is all seemingly working out decently nice for me. Gainwell went. Oh, that sucks. Okay. So Gainwell went. I have Laporta and I have Goff in hand, and then Goff is past ADP. This is a really good pick to take, and I have the game stack there too, which is awesome. I think I'm going to end up taking Travis Kelce and boosting him up. I don't really care about Khalil Shakir. Dude literally never spikes. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce in this situation, and I'm personally okay with two quarterbacks. I know the theory is three, but I'm okay with just taking two. Someone asked about the ranks. I've loaded ranks from different sites. I just do that. I have my own personal ranks. Those ranks go into this tool. I try not to like showcase them live here, but I'd like to see what other tools and websites actually put in place so that I can get a baseline, like you said in the chat. But yeah, this is fun, man. I love doing these drafts. I got really lucky that Jared Goff fell to me and that Patrick Mahomes fell to me. I got two, really nice stacks there from that situation. And so now, like, I know in my head, I've got a double stack with Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So the tool is actually, they play the Chargers, right? So the tool is going to tell me not to take Gadsden because, like, in my best situation, Gadsden is overlapping with Travis Kelce, right? So it doesn't make sense to do a game stack with that situation. The other option that I have available to me, which I think may have actually just went somewhere, ADP, okay. Keaton Mitchell is another one that's a game stack for me. So I could consider that option as well. And I'm okay without taking quarterbacks and stuff too. I think two quarterbacks is totally fine, especially if you feel really strongly about your team. Which actually, I really like this team. These are some of my favorite players. I think having a Cowboys receiver, Rashee Rice, feels like a cheat code too. Anytime he plays, he's incredible. Jalen Waddle is my one pick. If I were to say, like, who's going to blow up this year, I would pick him at receiver. And then Jordan Tyson has like a falling ADP, and I've got like a full mix. Like my whole team is like different bye weeks and stuff too, so I feel really good about that. I need a slot for Isaac Tesla for my double stack if I want to do the double stack, and then I need a slot for potentially Trey Harris too. We'll see there. Chris Rodriguez falling a lot because of that Jones fracture that I told everybody about. We'll see if that actually ends up happening. I would love it if Mr. Chris Rodriguez falls to me here. I don't really like him that much personally, but I also he didn't fall to me. I also acknowledge that I can be wrong. So, and I'm okay with like just drafting based off of my personal take being wrong. It doesn't matter to me. I see significant value as taking a quarterback potentially in the last round. I think right now my game stack that I could potentially target is the Falcons, because I have Bijan, and I think that people might be underrating how likely it is that Tua is the quarterback for the full season if he does well, which he might not, but I'm willing to take a little bit of a chance there. Because he is going to be a non-zero for me over time. All right, so I got a Keaton Mitchell fall, which is nice. He fits my profile, my team very well. I'm happy about that. So I'm going to take him. He's my bring back for Patrick Mahomes. And now I get to prioritize taking potentially Juwan Jennings if he's still available to me. Wants me to take Daniel Jones. I'm not really sure that I want to take Daniel Jones. I'm kind of sitting here thinking that I want to take a receiver. I think I'm getting light at that receiver spot. So I'm thinking that I want Juwan Jennings, and he has a bring back for week 15 with Jared Goff, which is kind of fun too. So I'll do that. And then we're kind of looking at like Trey Harris as another bring back option and Isaac Tesla as a week 17 stack for my team. And I'm on record saying that you never know if Juwan Jennings just operates in a wide receiver 2 role. Like, I don't think he would be in 2 wide receiver sets. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that he might be the second highest target player on the Vikings. And the reason why I think that is because of the article that I wrote. In the article, I wrote that deep threats are less likely to get targeted. If you look at people that have a deeper average depth of route, they're targeted less often, and that leads to less fantasy points generally. And so I think that there's just significant risk for people that are thinking, hey, this guy is going to be, crushing out there. Jordan Addison. I think he's like their clear deep threat on offense. It's not a Juwan Jennings thing. Jefferson can do it, but they're not going to cater Jefferson to Jordan Addison. They're going to cater Addison to Jefferson. And then Hawkinson also operates shorter. That's the change with Jalen Naylor. Naylor was doing a lot of the deep stuff before, and so not having Naylor, I think, moves Jordan Addison into a deeper role, even though he was already operating in a deeper role before. So now we got to see. It's probably going to prioritize some sort of which picks do I like? It's going to probably prioritize some of these running backs that are in this zone too, which I don't know that I'm not like super into. There's some running backs that I really like that are late though right now. And, other people might disagree, but I'm kind of the guy that's been like breaking down all sorts of intel. So I think, why not act on that intel if there's a Jaden Blue or a George Holani or Marshawn Lloyd late. Now might not be a bad time to take them. Yeah, we're coming up on the pick. Bryce Young's still sitting there. I could backstack him with Brazel. I don't have any other. Seahawks guys for a bring back, but I think with my third quarterback, I don't care as much about all of that. You're just looking for like points on the board, right? So now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking that I really like Trey Harris and I really like Tesla. And this guy might take both of them or take one of them. He took A.D. Mitchell. So that gives me a second double stack. I like getting Chargers. I like getting access to the Chargers. I'm happy to get Trey Harris. I think it's a great pick for me. And this next one should be Tesla, in my opinion. You can see I'm navigating around the tool. I'm not doing exactly what it says every single time. I don't think that that's a smart move. I think that you should apply your own intuition, have a guidepost that's like leading you to answers, but not to stay with it religiously. I mean, if I could draw up like a fun team for myself, it would look something like this, because what I've done here is, Lions are always fun. That's a fun offense. Jared Goff, I think Ian Hartitz or Dwayne McFarland, somebody was tweeting about this the other day, where it's like, dude, this guy's getting 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns like every season. So I'm excited about that. And then you're talking about the cheapest that Patrick Mahomes has ever been, and I just got Rashee Rice with him, his number one option. That's exciting. I think this is a very exciting team. I should be done at receiver now that I've filled out 7. I think what I would want to do is build in this running back room a little bit more and then take a third tight end. So we are just going to play that running back card and wait on all of that. Let's see which running backs are available. So I don't mind taking. I really don't mind taking most of these guys to be quite, or some of these guys to be quite honest. So I don't mind Kamara. I think he's going to stay on the team. I've talked about that, and I think that they'll have him in some sort of role if he stays on the Saints. And if he goes to any other team, I think he'll have a role too. So I'm not really that worried about it. My brother's texting me. He's watching. He said he loves my team. I bet he's going to tell me not to mess this up. So Kamara is an option. I think that Jaden Blue is not a bad option. It would give me a more team stack with George Pickens. Kind of just like sussing out the room, seeing like what is available to me. In terms of quarterbacks, like I could still do the Tua Zachariah branch and go with 2 tight ends, and then fill up my go with an RB 5 with like Holani or Jaden Blue or Marshawn Lloyd, but we'll see what ends up happening. I'm not going to take, like, if it tells me to take Emmett Johnson, I'm just not doing it. We're going to be a little early on some of the players that I want to do. Yeah, we're going to be early on. Did Zachariah Branch already went? Yeah, he did. Damn it. Okay, so that gives up the Tua like third stack type of team that I could have done. Don't mind taking a chance on Terrence Ferguson as like my wide receiver or my tight end 3. Yeah, I kind of like that. I think he has better upside than Kate Otten does. That's for sure. So we'll see how we end up playing this here. So I need a third tight end. I think that I like, different by week. I think that I like Terrence Ferguson. He has a bring back with the Cowboys. The tool tells me to take him too, so that's fun. I like Terrence Ferguson. And now I think I need to take running back. And my running back of choice is going to be Jaden Blue, because I do believe he has a role in this offense. He doesn't have a bye week that aligns with anybody for my running back room, so I think that he's a good pick. Might be early to take a guy like that, but the drumbeat is pretty loud, so I'm going to do it. We're talking about the last 2 rounds. Like, the ADPs matter much less at the end of the draft. Okay, so last pick of the draft here. Who do I want to take? The only quarterback that I could take is Tua because I have Bijan. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put Marshawn Lloyd and George Holani in the queue. And if those guys don't last, I think the best answer for my team is Tyquan Thornton. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Yeah, the Tyquan Thornton thing is interesting. I mean, everything that I've read is that this guy's going to play in 3 wide receiver sets, and that he's like the deep threat. He kind of fulfills that like MVS role. His targets per route run, his yards per route run, all sorts of stuff were really high last year. He played a very specialized role. But I am pretty in on that guy as a really good last round pick. And I have Mahomes, so I feel like, it's a triple stack, which, can get you in trouble sometimes, but I don't have anyone else with a week 5 bye. So I think that's a decent pick. The tool also likes George Holani's not going to pop in the tool because the rankings that I've kind of like assembled aren't really that high on him, but I kind of need to maybe think about tweaking that because I do think that he'll have a role. And sometimes it's just about guys that like play enough to get you by. Um, and I think that he will. I mean, until November when Charbonnet comes back. So, uh, yeah, I think there's a chance there. And see, this is where I feel like I struggle. It's like, do you want RB6 or do you want receiver 8? Where I think that my receiver room is pretty strong, and I think my running back room is like more weak. Like I have more specialists. Like I've got Warren and Blue and Mitchell, and those are all more like pass catching, like scat back type of players. And adding George Holani is basically the same thing. Um, and he shares a bye week with Bijan, so I kind of don't like it as much as I thought I would. Oh man, this is tough. The other risk with Thornton is that they add receiver, which I don't think they're going to do. They've come out and said that a lot, but you never know. Take Taekwon Thornton, make yourself feel better with a triple stack. Great. All right, that's the team. The team's going to get graded here in a second. You'll see on the right side, I got an A. I am number 2 in my pod. Thinks I have a 21.5% chance of advancing. I think these advancement things are, if I recall, the way that I built it are just standard. So 21.5% is like not real. But it aligns to the grade that I get. So the A kind of indicates that, yeah, this is a good team. It's never going to give you an A for taking a player at ADP. Like, that's just not the way it is. But getting Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes really unlocked my team because I got 2 ADP values at quarterback that then aligned back to these players that I took before them and gave me these stacks. So I thought that was really nice. Taekwon Thornton giving me a B plus. I didn't really like the Terrence Ferguson one, which I could argue either way. I think that tight end gets really thin once you get like later on. I got some decent ADP value on my team. So I got Mahomes and Goff at really good values. Swift was at ADP. Jalen Warren was at ADP. Keaton Mitchell was past ADP, and he was a week 17 stack. Jaden Blue was really early, but again, I don't think that it matters when it comes to round 17 and 18. Pickens was pretty much at ADP. Rashee Rice, my model is actually like predicting where ADP is moving. So what ended up happening there was I think the model is predicting that Rashee Rice is going to move up in ADP. And so it was like at 26, he'll probably be at like 25 or 24, which I can actually go back and check and see what my model is predicting, but it's just built into the tool. And then Jalen Warren at 40, or Jalen Waddle at 47. That was a good, that was at ADP. Jordan Tyson was obviously a really strong value. Jawan Jennings pretty much at ADP. Trey Harris at ADP. Isaac Tesla at ADP. Taekwon Thornton pretty much at ADP. I got a little bit of a fall on Laporta and Kels, but not too much. And then Terrence Ferguson was pretty much right there. So I like this team. I think that was a really nice build. It ended up working out. If I had to change something, I think there was a point in the draft where if I look back, actually I can export my draft here and it'll show me. It also tells me who my recommendations are now that I have one extra pick. But the point in the draft that I was really uncertain was right here where I took Jalen Warren. I actually somewhat wish I took Ramondre. But we're just flying by, seeing what happens. Ramondre and Chuba were the 2 that I was still considering there. All right. That's all for today. Thank you guys for tuning in.